So it all starts with really the idea, validating your idea, making sure that it's something that your ideal client wants, but also being really specific about it. So you have to get the tingly tinglies when you're creating something. Like you need to feel so good in your bones, in your soul about it. And that's how you also know that it's something worth creating, right? And it's not about saying, hey, I want to create a group coaching program and then just finding some random topic to do it. You know, it really starts from thinking, how do I really want to transform somebody's life? What do I need to share? What do I want to become the go-to for? And then what's the best way to do that?
Welcome, Badass Manifester. I am so glad you are here. I'm your host and head coach, Ashley Gordon, master mindset and manifestation biz expert, founder of the quantum coaching certification, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur obsessed with empowering you to create quantum leaps in your energy, your life, and your business. This is the show to help you make magic your everyday normal, where the ripple effect is real and the guest experts are world class. My mission is to power your conscious and subconscious mind with manifestation teachings, business tools, and coaching techniques to put your potential into action. Consider this your weekly up level. Are you ready for quantum transformation? Let's do this. What's up, badass manifestors? Welcome back to another episode. Today is a goodie. It's a goodie. It's a real goodie. You're going to like it, especially if you have ever considered or thought of monetizing your expertise in any shape, way, or form. Ariel is going to drop some knowledge to help you build really successful online courses. I'm really excited for you to listen because so many of us have gifts that we need to share with the world, and you have a course inside of you. I'm sure you do. Even if you're not a coach, you can still have a course and teach someone something and monetize it. So you're going to learn all about creating courses today because she is the queen of that. And before we dive in, there's just so much that I want to share with you. This past weekend was so great. I just got to chill and relax, and I did a lot of like dancing and sensual movement and moving the feminine through my being, and it's been so awakening for me, really, in so many ways. And it was really nice weather in New Jersey this weekend, and I got to go to this beach, this little beach that we have. We have like lots of beaches, but there was this little beach with nobody on it, and I got to dance on the beach in the sun. And I got a facial before that, and I went and danced on the beach, and then I had 2 hours of body work. Talk about self-care Saturday. Damn, it was so good. And I'm energizing myself for what's to come because this week we are launching something really exciting. Over the last few years of becoming a multiple six-figure entrepreneur, I've learned a lot about bringing money in, attracting clients, being the energy that you want to attract into your business, and really developed a method to teach you how to do that exact thing, to make more money now. And the thing about it is that having a six-figure business requires six-figure belief systems for sure. And there was a point in my life where I couldn't get more than $30,000 or $40,000 for the year, right? Like that was my plateau at a certain time. And I was like, what, am I ever going to make more money? Am I ever going to like get over this $40,000 a year hump? And believe me, listen, for some people, $40,000 is plenty. But for the dreams that I have in life, I actually needed to make more money. So I had to do some work. I had to do a lot of work, a lot of rewiring of my money beliefs, my money mindset, getting to the root cause of why I was always making the same amount. And now I can say that I can make that in a month. That's crazy, amazing, right? And I did it because of the method that I created. Like this receive like a quantum coach money method is the reason that I was able to break through the ceilings that I was hitting with my income. And so I want to invite you to a free training series that I'm doing, and it's called Manifest 5-Figure Months Like a World-Class Coach. I want to help you get paid for your work. I want to teach you the Receive Like a Quantum Coach money method, which is my program. I'm going to teach you the method in our 3-day challenge. And I want to help you get clarity on what's blocking you from signing more clients right now. That's going to be on day 1. And then day 2, we're going to discover how to rewire your energy and align your thoughts to create 6- and 7-figure belief systems. And then on day 3, we're going to learn how to receive at the quantum level and magnetize yourself for success and transformation and clients. It's going to be so, so good. We're really going to deep dive into what's blocking the portal of abundance in your business and how to value your time and your money to actually start charging for the transformation that you provide as a coach, healer, or service provider, and how to attract people in their power who are ready to pay you for your work. So I'm beyond excited. I want to invite you to join. You can either join through the link in my Instagram bio or in the show notes. There is a link to join. You must be registered. We're going to have some fun prizes and giveaways. We'll have games. It'll be really, 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 really fun. And not to mention, it'll be really expanding for you to shatter the glass ceiling that you've created on this cap. Because the truth is that we're uncapped. We have an uncapped potential to make any amount of money that we desire. So I want to help you unleash that, and I can't freaking wait. So make sure you get registered. I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, I'm so excited for today's episode. This is going to be a good one. You might want to take out your notebooks or your phone notes and focus, because I've got Ariel Schiffer here. She is the CEO of Dream Pro, which is a course creation agency that helps entrepreneurs create digital courses. Hello. Dream Pro's mission is to improve the quality of education in the online business industry, which we all know is much needed. Ariel has a decade of experience designing professional and leadership development programs for Fortune 50 companies, nonprofit organizations, small businesses, keynote speakers, and entrepreneurs. Her company offers done-for-you services, DIY course creation solutions, and a membership dedicated to helping business owners create their own innovative product suite. And she also just launched her podcast where she's sharing all the nuggets on there too. She's amazing, and I'm so excited you're here.
Yay!
Welcome.
I'm so excited. This is going to be awesome. We always have good conversations, so I'm happy this one will be recorded.
Yes, me too. So true. So true. So, damn girl, when I think of you and I look at your work, and obviously I'm lucky enough to be in the same mastermind as you, I see how innovative you are in this industry. And I would love for you to just share a little bit more about who you are and how you've developed that innovative spirit in this online space.
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Okay, so who I am. So for background, I grew up in New York City. That's where I'm from. And basically, right out of there, I decided to go to college, originally for music industry. Not a lot of people know this about me. And I grew up around a dad who was a musician, a mom who's an artist. So I've always been around creativity and just people that love to create stuff. And everyone in my family is creative in some way. So I went to college for music industry thinking that I can do something business related having to do with that. But I really, I realized, first of all, I got my first C+ in a class, and I've never, I was the kid that got straight A's, but never went to class. And so when I actually failed at something, I was like, maybe this isn't the best route for me. So I just randomly decided to change to psychology as my major. It was my intuition guiding me at the time, but I literally had no idea. And and so I did that, and I was like, I don't know what my path is going to be, but it feels like it needs to start here. And so I ended up taking a course in industrial organizational psychology, which is pretty fancy. It's basically business psychology. And I loved it. I loved the problem solving aspect of it. I loved how it really, the field goes into so many different things when it comes to how you work, how you engage your employees, how you train people, how you learn. And after taking that class, I decided that I wanted to pursue more education on it, went to grad school. And so basically came out of that as somebody who specialized in learning and development. I ended up going into that corporate world and working, the 9 to 5, doing all that. And I just remember my first job, my real job out of college. I was just like, there has to be more to life than this. Like, I was just so depleted and I felt like I just really wasn't utilizing my skills and life just felt really boring. So I ended up applying to a bunch of random jobs in the southern part of the US. And I was just like, I'm just going to move away from Connecticut. I went to school in Connecticut. And so I was like, I'm just going to move away, go to the South, see what there is, try a new city. And I ended up getting a job with Lowe's home improvement. And they ended up moving me down there, and I was an instructional designer. So I was creating their courses. I ended up creating their new employee orientation. So anybody who joined the company at any store, supply chain, corporate, distribution center would take my program. And part of the program, we created a virtual reality simulation. I did really cool shit and I loved it. It was so creative. And it was just something where I was like, wow, I'm actually utilizing so many different parts of me. It was fun. So I ended up leaving that job 4 years later. I decided I wanted to move on to a smaller company so that way I can really do more things. Because when you're at a big company, you just become more and more and more specialized. So I ended up leaving. I went to a job and then absolutely hated it. It was not what I thought it was going to be. And that's what inspired me to start my own business. I was like, I need to just do things on my own. So I started as a career coach. I ended up coaching a lot of people in their careers that wanted to start their businesses. So I sort of started leaning into that. And the funny thing is like so many other entrepreneurs, I bought a course and I was really excited about it. It was actually all about how to become an authority in your niche. So I opened it up and it was the worst course ever. I was so appalled. I was like, what is this shit? She did such a good job selling it. She, really definitely made me feel like this was the course for me. This was going to provide me so much perspective in terms of marketing myself. And I was just blown away by how bad it was. And it's not to shame her or anything. And I don't ever say her name or anything like that. But it just made me realize it was this aha moment of, oh my God, people don't know how to create courses in this industry because it's just not their specialty. It's mine because I've been in this for years, but not a lot of people know that. And a lot of people are educating other people. So how can I create something or start to educate people on how they can turn their expertise into a course? And so that's kind of what it spiraled down. And so funny enough, this really shitty course on how to become an authority led me to becoming an authority because I realized that people needed what I had. So it was just kind of a
worked.
Full circle moment. Yeah. Just not in the way she intended. I don't know if that was, right. I'm pretty sure that was not it, but yeah. So that's when I created the Course Alchemist, which is, it's like a course on how to create courses. You basically create your course alongside, following this course. And then I started really just opening up more to taking on clients for done for you services. And that's where I'm at now.
Wow. That is amazing. It's an amazing journey. Okay. This is going to be so random and so funny, but I'm pretty sure back in the day, I used to do modeling and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that I got I had a casting to go to that was casting for Lowe's and Home Depot, for their videos. Is that a real thing? I swear to God.
Yeah, it is. Wait, this is really funny though, because
I know.
Yeah, we used to work with the department that hires, sometimes actors for their marketing and stuff, because especially for our virtual reality, we hired actors to come in. And the funny thing is at the time, they actually, so part of that virtual reality experience, it was supposed to be filmed in like a customer's home. And I had a new home at the time. And they're like, oh, this is perfect. It looks like it was just renovated. So they used my home in the experience. So you could have been in my house.
Whoa. So that would have been
Essentially.
wild. Wow. So
I
crazy.
know.
That's so cool that you did that though. What an amazing
Yeah.
experience. And then to come into this industry and be like, oh my God, there's a big hole here. It's like
It's,
everyone
yeah.
wants to create courses, but they don't actually know how to create an effective transformational course that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the wild, wild west out here. It's crazy.
That
But
is
I love it.
so wild. I mean, I get messages all the time from people. Thank you for sharing your story. Like it's super cool I didn't know that. I didn't know that about you. So that's really cool. And
Yeah.
I get messages all the time from people that are like, I'm watching one of your master classes. How do you have your screen up there with your face up there at the same time? Like they're just like, they don't understand. And so I can't wait to like dive in and just kind of just pick your brain on this episode for everyone listening that wants to create a course, that have thought about manifesting, monetizing your expertise
And manifesting it. Why not?
and manifesting all the things. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I do have to share. I think this will be pretty funny. I've gotten obviously my own fair share of DMs about like course creation and what do you do? And I got this one today and I feel like it's really funny and everybody should hear it. This girl messaged me. She got my mini course. She was like, I love it. It's so great. It's helped me a lot. But like, I have a question about creating my membership. I help a lot of people with memberships too. And anyway, she goes through all this stuff of like how she should do it. But at the end, she goes, but what happens? What if I die? Well, my cats have to work their little paws to the bone to try to create templates in Canva. They're terrible copywriters, FYI. And I was like, that is probably the best DM I've gotten asking about course design, to be honest with you.
You need to keep that forever. That needs to go on some website somewhere.
Yeah.
But what if I die?
It's like, shit, I haven't thought about that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem you haven't solved yet, Ariel.
Not yet.
So, okay. So where does one start? They want to create a course. Where does one start?
Yeah. So it all starts with really the idea, validating your idea, making sure that it's something that your ideal client wants, but also being really specific about it. So when it comes to just offer creation in general, I always say to people, and I think we were talking about this at some point too, it's like, you have to get the tingly tinglies when you're creating something. Like you need to feel so good in your bones, in your soul about it. And that's how you also know that it's something worth creating, right? And that's not the only thing, but I think it really starts there because a lot of times people come to me and they say, I want to create a course, but I don't know what I should create a course about. And they just find the next best thing or topic that they think might be helpful. And they're like, okay, I'll just create a course on that. And it's not about saying, hey, I want to create a group coaching program and then just finding some random topic to do it. It's, it really starts from thinking, how do I really want to transform somebody's life? What do I need to share? What do I want to become the go-to for? And then what's the best way to do that? What's the best way for my ideal client? How do they want to receive this message? How do they want to experience this? Because not everything needs to be a course. Not everything is meant to be. But when you have that perfect kind of combination of the way that it's administered or the modality, if you will, and the topic and the ideal client and the price and all those things come together and you feel really solid about every single component, that's what really creates that magical offer. So when it comes to circling back to your question, when it comes to the first step, it's really making sure like, what is this topic? What is this idea? Making sure that you feel really pulled to invest time and effort into this because courses take energy and they take, we were speaking about your certification program. It takes a lot of time and heart. And when your heart isn't there, it's going to make the process more excruciating, but also the end result is not going to be exactly what your clients need.
So true. And just listening to that, I know there's some people saying, well, I don't know who my ideal client is. Well, I don't know who would want what. is there an element of market research paired with like that feeling inside that's like, oh, I want to create this thing?
Oh
Because
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
love to I think it's I'm very led by my intuition, but I'm also like very masculine in the way that I work, right? Like I need to know numbers and data, and I
Yeah.
need to understand people and feel like I have the structure. And structure helps me be creative and kind of gives me my
Yeah.
balance, if you will. So I
Listen, y'all,
think
I've seen some of her spreadsheets. She is not joking.
I'm really good at creating spreadsheets, but honestly, maintaining them, that's why I have a team. So like I'll
Exactly.
create it at first, but yeah, you won't find me in there every day. But when it comes to that first piece, so I have a framework for course creation, and it's called the code to course creation. And so the first step is conduct analysis. So this is where you come up with your idea, you're validating it, and you're validating it through market research. So if somebody's not sure like what their ideal client wants or where they're at right now, talk to them, communicate with them. Really, the main part of market research is understanding if it's a need, but also seeing where your ideal client is at a competence level and a confidence level. So what's their competency? How much do they know right now? Where are they starting from? And then you need to look at where you want them to be. And that gap really becomes how you fill it in, right? That's your course, is getting them from that starting point to that finish line. So market research really helps you identify like what's their the starting line.
Oh, so true. That is so, so true. And I know that some people have a really hard time with like figuring that out for their people. So it could be as simple as just asking them on social media, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't think we need to make this overly complicated. The only
Yeah.
thing that I see that kind of like sometimes annoys me is when people do market research and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing market research," and they put like two questions out. They're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing a course on this. Do you want it?" And then a bunch of random
Yeah.
people are like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" When really it's like, take the time, ask. I think every single question that you ask should be meaningful, just so that way you're not just like taking up people's time for data that you don't really care about. Um, but understand where they're at, where they want to be, what they're struggling with, what's getting in the way of that. Um, and truly identifying like what their priorities are too. Um, and I was going to say something else, but it'll come to me, I'm sure, when you ask me something else.
Okay. Yeah, I think that those are like such amazing points to make. Like, we don't have to overcomplicate it. We really,
Yeah.
really don't.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think that that's probably what gets in the way for a lot of people.
It is. And, it's not even like there's so many things are market research and it just doesn't have that title on it, right? Like anytime you talk to somebody on a discovery call and maybe it doesn't go well, that's market research. It's data, right? It's just data. Anytime you talk on a discovery call and it goes well, that's data. Anytime you're having a conversation maybe with a peer that could be an ideal client, or holding an interview or like focus groups, like all of that stuff is market research. It doesn't look one way or another. I think it's just about really getting an idea of your people and being able to confidently say, I know my ideal client in and out. I know exactly where they're at. I know exactly where they're struggling with. I can, recall like 5 different sound bites that mostly everybody is saying, right? So for me, with course creation, a common thing I hear all the time is, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know where to start.
Yep.
For my done for you clients, it's, I have the expertise, I have the idea, I have the audience. I don't have time to create this on my own, right? So it's like being able to recall those things that they're saying and helping you feel really connected to them is going to help you create the best product for them.
So good. And if you guys are listening to the customer journey that Ariel was just talking about, like eh, it's the same client essentially. It's the same avatar. It's the same person that has different problems at different points on their journey.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. hmm Yeah. So
So cool.
they're two different people, and it helps me see, especially when I'm talking to somebody, what are they a good fit for?
Right.
Where can I help them? Or maybe I identify that they're not a good fit, and that's great. And I can refer them to a lot of other people that I know that are excellent fits for them.
Right. Like even when we were talking, I was having her look over Quantum Coaching Academy and I was like, do I need a full blown course redesign? And she was like, let's just start with a 90-minute intensive. Like
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Just to kind of see where like giving me what I need for where I'm at. And that's essentially what you're going to be doing as you build out your course. You're giving your ideal client what they need with where they're at, with the problems that they're facing in that moment.
Yeah. Yep. And
Simple.
yeah.
Took
And
me
it
years
just,
to like learn that though. It really did. I'm not
yeah.
gonna lie.
I think sometimes, especially for people who might be just starting their business, you're so focused on filling your programs or having like one specific way to do things. And it's definitely not about having all these offers in your product suite. Like, I'm very clear on what I do and what I don't, but I try to make sure that every single person that is paying me for a service, they're going into one that is the absolute best fit for them. And that's going to give them the greatest experience. And it's going to give me the greatest experience too, because then I really get to work within my zone of genius to help them. So it's like anytime you can really focus on just serving somebody at the best capacity, it's going to pay off in so many ways for them, for you, like for everybody involved.
So true. I love that.
Mhm.
You're awesome. What do you
Thanks.
think
You too.
thank you, are the common mistakes that people are making? Did we already cover them, you think?
No, I mean, I can go for days about this. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
So
let's get to the mistakes.
let's definitely talk about this. So some things that I see come up, we'll start from the beginning of the course design process. Not validating your idea for sure. Just saying, hey, I think this would be great. Like making a lot of assumptions, but not taking the time to actually see if they're just assumptions or the truth.
Can I just elaborate on that really quick before you like I did that.
Yeah.
So when the first course I ever launched digitally was called Create Your Life on Purpose. And I thought I thought it was gonna be $100,000 launch. Like I had big hopes, and it was like a really inexpensive course, right? It was like I don't know, $200 or something like that. So I had big goals for this course, and it didn't do anything. It flopped. Like 5 people bought it. So that was my flop, right? But like I was like, I don't understand. This course is so amazing. I know that there's a need for people to find their life purpose, but I didn't do the research. I didn't pull my audience. I didn't ask them questions. And so it didn't go anywhere. That's kind of what you're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
And then
yeah.
I turned
Yeah.
it
It's
around.
like
I
not
turned it around
understanding
later.
them.
Yeah.
Mm.
I turned it
And
around later,
another
but
thing
we'll get to
too.
that.
Oh yeah, I want to hear about this. And there might be a little bit of a lag, by the way. So another thing, and it kind of goes into that, is when, like, aside from just doing the market research, also not being very specific on what your course idea is. So your course should really solve one specific problem. One problem. What is their problem? Solve that one problem. I see so many times people are trying to put so much stuff into one course to make it this all-inclusive solution, and it just becomes a mess. It makes it really hard for the person to market it. And if you don't understand, or you can't briefly say what your course is in like one sentence, your ideal client or somebody in your audience, they're going to have no idea what you're selling. And if they don't know what you're selling, they're not going to buy it. So it's getting very specific on one problem that you are helping them through, one transformation. And it could be a big transformation or a small one, but you need to think appropriately about it, and also realize too, like, if it's becomes more than one problem, that's great. Create more than one solution then. It doesn't all have to be in your course.
That I think is another mistake people make, is that I think that they want to have like hours and hours and hours and hours of content. They're like, look how valuable my course is. We talked about this before. And that could be part of that, like, because they're trying to solve too many problems.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
just overload the course.
Mm-hmm. It was funny because I was recently, Amy Porterfield and a few other people were hosting a clubhouse the other day, and it was, trends coming up in the industry and course design industry. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to tune into this. I want to see what trends are emerging. And it was funny because she was like, less is more. It's not about adding more to your course to make it more valuable. It's about being really intentional about what's in it. And I was like, this is true, but like, let's not call this a trend, because this has been a thing for a very long time, and it should be. It's making sure you're not just putting stuff in your course. It's like everything needs to serve a purpose. And it's all about also realizing that you as the course creator probably have years of experience in whatever you're creating a course on. the person that's taking your course likely, unless it's a certification course, doesn't need to know everything that goes into it, right? You're just getting them the transformation. So the core content really just needs to be like, what is going to get them that transformation, not too much, not too little. And then the bonuses are really like the cherry on top. It's the extra things that make it easier for them, the extra things that make sense for that ideal client to have. So those are the two things to distinguish from. And it's also about making sure the content in your course, like, leave out the fluff. And it's not about leaving out the foundational stuff. It's about, being really specific and be concise with what you're sharing, because people don't actually want to listen to you for hours, believe it or not. Like, we're all pretty busy people. I've yet to meet somebody that has an ideal client that doesn't consider themselves to be busy. So you want to make the most out of people's time. So it's not about time and it's not about more. It's about what is going to get them to the end result.
Because you want them to finish the course, you guys. Like,
yes.
Think about, you might be listening right now and have a million courses that you haven't even finished yet. And so take that's market research for yourself, right? To like take that information, that's feedback, and make your courses as bingeable as possible.
I love how you said that's feedback. It's like, it's so true. It's, don't get upset when people say things negatively about your program or this and that. I'm not saying to ignore it, but just to look at it as data, right? It's a way for you to improve. Look at those themes and make sure that, you're taking those into account. I know we're kind of like jumping all over the place when it comes to the course, but
I do that. I do that with UCA. Like, I mean, every question that comes in, I'm like, oh, this is how we can improve this. Oh, this is how we can improve that. Like, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
a little much.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also distinguishing, what is feedback that, okay, I look at it a few different ways. One, is this just a comment that one person had, or is this a theme that's emerging, right? So like, are a lot of people saying that there's an issue with a certain part of this, or am I getting questions about something that's a gap, right? So I like to say also with course creation, even though a lot of people say, oh, you create it once and you sell it over and over again, and that's it. It's definitely not that's it. Every 6 to 12 months, you need to be looking at your content and making updates. And everybody needs to be updating their courses. Even me, like, I have stuff that I want to update in my course, but and it's nothing to feel bad about, but you're going to notice when things need to be changed. So 6 months, put on a Band-Aid. 12 months, look at kind of revamping the content if you need to. And don't feel alarmed if there's things that are left out, or if you find that you need to strengthen a certain piece of the program. I think as long as, a lot of people market their courses as being lifetime access, and I think that's wonderful. If you do that, definitely have a commitment to keep that thing updated as much as you can. So that way it's just, you're providing that extra value that you're selling in your marketing.
Yeah, I never fully understood the lifetime access thing until I was in a program where I didn't have lifetime access, and I kind of got kicked out of the program. Like, I didn't get kicked out, but they just took me out of the group where the content was. And I was like, oh, okay, so lifetime access is valuable, but then you're in a program where you have lifetime access where nothing gets updated. And you're like, well, why? What's the point?
Yeah, especially if you're in an industry like social media, like that stuff changes all the time. So I think you owe it to your clients to make sure that stuff is updated. And it's not about being in there every day or every month, but, doing your due diligence and putting it on your radar and having that just integrity to go back and make those updates.
Yeah. Awesome. I have a question. So my question is, when you're creating a digital course, just to be clear with people, is it something that is 100% evergreen, or is it something that also has like a live coaching component too, or is it both?
Ooh, it could be both. It could be anything. Yeah. Like, okay. I see no limits on anything. I've seen people create stuff in all different types of ways. I have an evergreen course that does not have a coaching component. It's actually the Course Alchemist, and I designed it that way, right? Some people have evergreen programs, or I should say like open enrollment program, like rolling enrollment programs where there is a coaching component to it. I've seen evergreen coaching programs that people have too. So I think it's just, when you design your program, think about how you are going to administer it before you design it, because that'll also help you when you think about what's in it and kind of the magic that happens outside of it. I was actually talking to one of my clients that I recently helped wrap up a project with, and she was like, I'm a little bit nervous. Like, I feel like, I need to talk more. And I was like, you have everything that they need in this course. And the coaching, the magic of the coaching part is really bringing that to life. It's the implementation. It's the ability to do all those things with them. So also don't feel bad if you feel like, oh, I need to put everything that I know into this thing. You don't need to, especially when you have a coaching component. That doesn't mean to make that less quality, but it's also really being objective about like, what's the foundational knowledge and what are the things that are really going to come to life when we actually meet and talk about these things.
Yeah. So she had the pre-recorded stuff, and then she had a component that was live coaching.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that's cool. That's good for people to know, because it can be any way you want. I think a big thing that gets in people in the way for course creators or coaches or service providers could be like, I want to do it the right way, but you can do it any way you want.
Yeah. And I think the best programs are the ones that are really, every piece of it is created out of intentionality of like what's best for the person versus what's the way that I want to run it, right? Whenever I've had clients saying like, I'm going to make an 8-week coaching program and it's going to be weekly, and we're going to, and then I'll make the course go along with it. I'll always challenge and say like, why is it going to be weekly? Why are they going to be 60-minute calls? Like, why? What's your purpose behind it? And it really gets them thinking. I actually was talking to Taylor, our coach, about, her new 5-figure flow. And we were just kind of bouncing ideas, and just based on the model of like what she wants to create and the immersiveness of it, I was like, well, based on the framework and based on what you want to do, it actually might make sense to structure the calls this way. So that way it's just, it's what they need. It's what they need when they need it versus just being in a cadence that seems good on paper. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's like the book Untamed, right? Like, I didn't fully read it, but I've heard about it, and how it's like, it's not written like a typical book. It's just like it's in an untamed way. It's really just, it can be whatever. It can be whatever you want it to be, and whatever is most effective and needed. I love that you see it like that.
Yeah. And
Cool.
it's not even about like just being different for the sake of being different. It's just, how can we make things so that way it really seems custom and personalized to that person, to the transformation. Those are the things that really provide that transformation, because you're meeting people where they're at versus trying to force them into a structure that might not be a good fit.
I love that. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I know that there's some people that are listening that they've had this nudge. They want to make a course, but oh God, the tech. Oh, the tech. I can't do the tech. I'm not techie. Like, I think about my mom. She's in QCA. She wants to be a coach. She's going to have a course. I'm going to end up doing her tech. No, I'm going to hire you to do her tech. But like, for someone who doesn't have the funds to invest in someone like you, for example, just yet, what's a good platform for them to start on? Because I know there's a lot of talk. People say, do I do Thinkific? Do I do Kajabi? Do I do Teachable? Do I do this? What is your go-to piece of advice for that?
Yeah, I think, I'm all about high quality courses, but the quality really comes from the intentionality and the content of your program, right? I think, having a level of polish is very important too, but that doesn't mean expensive. So there's plenty of ways that you can create something that really is high quality, that doesn't break the bank. So for tech, first of all, you can create your slides in PowerPoint, Canva, any of those things. You can record using Loom or Zoom, which is free. I think, well, Zoom for sure you can record, but I think Loom might have a minute cap on it for the free version. But anyways, you can use Zoom
I
for
never
free.
thought to use Loom, but in
Mhm.
Five Figure Flow, watching Taylor use Loom, I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can use either of those. So that's free, which is great. In terms of course platforms, I love Kajabi. I know you do too. I think it's great. I love it too because I use it as an all-in-one. So like my website's on there, my email's on there. It makes sense for me. And I got it in the beginning of my business because I was like, I know I'm going to create courses. So I'm just going to invest in this thing. For somebody who's just starting out and you're not going to necessarily use all of the stuff that's associated with it, I actually really love MemberVault. I had a couple of clients use MemberVault, and I think it's free for the first 100 people in your programs, which is awesome. So I recommend looking into MemberVault. It was super easy to use when I was putting her stuff into her platform. I literally watched a 2-minute YouTube video on how to do it. And I was like, oh, this is easy. And I did the rest of it. So also too, like, obviously I have a course on creating courses, but I'll be the first to say, like, you can find anything on the internet, like YouTube it, Google it, like use your resources. Excuse me, it might take you some time to like, you know, it'll probably be hard for you to find like this massive step-by-step thing or whatever you're looking for. But at the same time, for any point in the process, you need a little bit of help or you're not sure how to do something, YouTube it, Google it. All the
It's all there.
information exists somewhere. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say MemberVault is great. I've heard great things about Teachable, Thinkific. But if you're looking for a great like all-in-one and you want to, streamline your systems, and actually Kajabi could save you money depending on what you're originally using anyways, I think it's a great go-to.
I always say to people, thank you for that. I always say, like, if I could go back in time and decide all over again, like what platform I would use, I would have started with Kajabi because everything that you need to grow your business is in Kajabi. You need an email
Mm-hmm.
provider, you need landing pages, you need a website, and you need products, like a place for your products and courses. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like I was spending more money actually not using
Mm-hmm.
Kajabi. So yeah, you can save money.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Cool.
would just, look at your needs holistically. Because I know some people are like, oh, Kajabi is expensive. And like to your point, like, but if you break down everything, is it? Probably not. And it saves you from
Yeah.
having to integrate stuff. So yeah, I got
And if
it from
you
the
know,
beginning.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and if you know you're gonna go in this direction, like just do it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
when does someone know when it is time to outsource the tech? Maybe it's too overwhelming and
Mm.
outsource the whole project, right? Like someone who would come to you and say, okay, I need a done for you service here. This is the course I want to create. Like how how do they know when to make that decision?
Yeah, I think it's a personal one to make. I don't think that there's any sort of like, there's no level of income or no like level of where you are in business to make these decisions. But I think it comes down to like personal preference and really like knowing your strengths. So, outsourcing the tech of your course is something that there's tech VAs out there that can help you with that, right? Like I have one on my team. So, that's something that's not like massively a cost, but if it's going to save you hours of energy, then it's probably best for you to, make sure that you have the people in your corner that can do this stuff better than you and quicker than you, because it'll really keep you in your zone of genius. Course design, like, I always say like it's not an impossible process, and I've helped a lot of people create their own courses, and I've done it obviously myself. But for some people, it can be a lot and overwhelming. So think about really where you want to be in the process, and you can always outsource the rest. For people that work with me, typically I work with people primarily that are established in business. This is typically not their first course, or it might be their first course, but they've been offering other things. And so they just don't have the time and maybe even the capacity on their own team to take on this because, one of my like selling points, if you will, is I'll basically save you 60 plus hours of course design, which is, it's a significant amount of time. So I work with people that are just ready to have it completely off of their hands. Obviously, there's a higher price tag with that, but it just depends on where your priorities are really. But I think I don't think it's impossible for somebody to do a whole course on their own. Obviously, I have a course on creating courses for that person. And I think it's just one step at a time. Also, not putting pressure on yourself. I see this a lot, actually. This is a good mistake. People are like, I'm going to sell my course and then I'm going to create it as I go. And for some people, it works out well, but for other people, it ends up becoming an unnecessary stressor, and it actually decreases the quality of their courses because they're just doing it under pressure. They're not like taking the time to do it right. So I always say too, like, don't put pressure on yourself where you don't need to. Spend the time you need to create something that you feel really, really good about. And it's not about being a perfectionist. It's just about like being intentional versus like trying to get it in right on time.
Mm, yes. Knowing your priorities and where you're at. So,
Mhm.
so key. I love that. And so when you take on a client at that level, are they just creating the content and sending it to you?
So we have a big process that we go through. We like do the whole outlining experience and the whole blueprint of the course. And then I like to make it very like VIP for people. Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the plan for this year is like complete white
White
glove
glove.
service.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we've been doing that so far in terms of like client care, but now we're really also upgrading all the infrastructure of what we do and just kind of the elements along the way to really kind of tie it up in a bow. And so part of that is, relieving as much as we can from the client and just making it as easy as possible. So for somebody who's working with us, like we'll be like, okay, we have this whole blueprint. Here are the very specific things that I need from you. And so that way they can provide us that. And then what we do is we have dedicated recording time for them. So that way we'll say, okay, reserve these days. This is when you're going to record your course. We pass it off to them for recording. We have a course concierge during the time that they're recording. So if they need to make any last minute tweaks or if they notice any sort of like hiccups or errors, and it's not necessarily about like, oh, you guys messed this up or anything like that. But the truth is, like during the actual development process and while you're recording, you might say, let me switch this in terms of the flow, or this actually sounds better over here. It's just a reality of it, right? I actually made this metaphor the other day and I was like, this makes so much sense. When you're building a house from scratch, you have your blueprint set up, but when it comes time to actually build, sometimes you make those last minute tweaks and decisions once you're actually in the bones of the house, right? You see the walls up and you're like, oh, actually, we should have the door swing this way, right? So that's
Yes.
the same thing with course design. Yeah. And so
Love
we have
that.
our course concierge there. So that way we can make those last minute tweaks and everything stays on track. And then we do all the uploading and all that.
Oh, so good. Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. Love it. Oh my God. Wow. I love that so much. And that's happened to me. Like I'm recording something right now and I'm like, oh, wait, let me move this. Let me move that. Like it does come up. So
Yeah.
that's super key to know, like be flexible with yourself in those
Yeah.
scenarios.
Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. Okay. Let's shift gears a bit for people. Some people might be listening right now and they might be thinking, I had no idea this was even a thing, right? Like I had no idea that this was like a
That's my whole
possibility.
family.
Exactly, exactly. And you don't even have to be a coach to monetize your expertise. So what happened for me is I started my coaching business and Catherine Zankina messaged me and asked me if I ever thought about creating a digital course because it's a big business expander. Did I tell you this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did on my
And
podcast.
right. And I had no idea. I had no idea of the possibilities of creating a digital product that could reach so many people. So can you just share and shed some light on the potential and the possibility of what creating an online course can bring?
Yeah. Ooh, this is really good. So I have a couple examples to draw from. First is actually one of my very first clients after I started my business, excuse me, for course creation was he was a keynote speaker and he actually worked very closely with like the NBA. And he would just go around and he would actually talk to organizations about high performance, and he would talk about his experiences in athletics and how that transfers over. So he was a keynote speaker. Then, the pandemic hit. And he was like, I need to start to create some digital products. So that's where I came in and I started to help him because he also had a book. So we actually created a course based on his book. He has another program that I helped him with an assessment for, he has another book that he worked with somebody else on. So we created an assessment that's going to lead into a mini course. He has a membership he's creating. So that's like one example. Like this dude was a keynote speaker, right? Like he wasn't really, he did some coaching and consulting, if you will, but totally different industry, totally different ideal client.
Talk about a pivot.
I know. I was actually listening to a podcast this morning about, and I have to find her name, but she was actually a farmer and created an online program for people to create their own gardens and learn how to do that. I've seen people literally create courses on anything. There is a market for everything. And that is like the biggest thing that I've learned. I work with a lot of people in more of like the business coaching space, the online marketing space. But I've also, I've seen some really interesting things. So I think it's just, courses are a means of typically education, right? It's so you're usually helping somebody either with their mindset, you're inspiring them, or you're helping them to instill new behaviors. And so that's really, that can transfer into any industry. So the possibilities are endless, and you can use courses in so many different ways. I've seen people use them as a part of their private coaching programs. I've seen them obviously with other coaching programs. They're great for evergreen products that people can just purchase without you asking them or launching them, right? Just having them in your back pocket. I've seen people license their courses to large organizations, to higher education, and sell multiple licenses at once. So the possibilities are endless. Like there's a lot that you can do with a digital product. And you could take pieces of that digital product and also turn them into other things as well. Turn them into funnels and turn them into all the crazy things that you see, happening in the marketing world.
This is the future.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is. And I feel like so grateful to be in this space now, because I do believe that the more people realize that they have the power to be their own personal brand and business, the more digital products are going to be created.
Yeah.
And school will be irrelevant.
Well, it's crazy. Like the e-learning industry, which is like kind of what it ties up to. It's expanding like nonstop. I remember when I went to grad school. So I went to grad school in 2012. And I remember like there were only a couple of the program, like my program that I went for grad school, there was only a few of those in the nation. Now there's tons, and there's more PhD programs, there's specializations in course design and curriculum development and technology. And I'm just like, wow, that blew up quick. But you know what? The industry is too. And so it's definitely not late for anybody to start. And I always get the question of like, well, what I want to create already exists. Why should I create one? Well, because there's not a product by you yet. So you need to create it. Like there are plenty of courses on how to create courses, but I created mine because nobody has my perspective. Nobody has my expertise that I'm translating into a product, and nobody's doing it the way that I am, and nobody's going to do it the way that you can either. So it's never too late, and never doubt yourself too.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that is a huge thing that comes up for people. And that's where the imposter syndrome comes up, and who am I to do this? Who wants to hear from me? And all of that. Take a mindset course first and then work through it. But yeah, that does. What would you say is a great way for someone listening that wants to really start to own their expertise? Like they're doubting their expertise, but they want to own it. Do you have like an exercise for them to help them kind of get in the zone?
You know what? Yeah. Create a brag sheet. I want you to create a brag sheet for yourself. I want you to list out like 50 to 100 reasons why somebody needs to learn from you. And it could be as small or as big of a brag as you want, but it can be as little as my mom told me that I'm the greatest person on earth. Like put all that stuff on paper, just start journaling it out. And you're going to see like, wow, there's so many reasons why I need to do this. I mean, think about your experiences, think about the perspective that you have, think about, the areas that you've worked in before. A lot of people will say to me, well, my background is so different than what I do now. Perfect. That makes your perspective even cooler, right? It makes it more diverse. So think about all those little things that make up who you are and why you want to bring this, idea to life. And chances are it's like, that's the perfect reason why you need to create a course.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Yes.
Especially if you're on that brink. And then you can also definitely check out Ariel's products. She has, everything you need to like start an online course. She'll walk you through it every single step of the way, whether you take her program or you work with her one-on-one. So, yeah, before we get into like where they can find you, I have to ask you, what makes you a badass manifester?
Ooh, you know what? Because once I make my decision on like something that I want, I'm like, it's already mine. That's it. If I want it, I can have it. Done.
I want it. I got it. I want it. I got it. I love that. Hell yes. Hell yes. I love this conviction and certainty that you have. It's beautiful. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. I know that this was eye-opening for a lot of people. So I'm super stoked for you guys to listen, to tag us. Where can everyone find you, connect with you, and learn more from you?
Yeah, everywhere. Okay, so you can find me on Instagram. My tag is dreampro_, because some kid still has dreampro and I can't get rid of it. And then you can also find me on my website, www.wearedreampro.com. And then now I have my new podcast, which I'm really excited about. There's going to be a lot of value on there about product suites and offers, and of course, courses. So that is the Dreamers Lounge podcast. So yeah, those are the three main places you can find me.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing your light with us, your magical wisdom with us, and practical tools. I'm super excited. If you guys have questions for Ariel, definitely DM her, tag us with your biggest aha moment and takeaway from this episode. And we can't wait for you to listen.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Love it.
Okay, bye. Woo! We did some work today. Thank you so much for listening. You know I love my BAM fam. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who you know would love it too, because we live for the ripple effect over here. And how can you best support the show? Make sure you're subscribed, hit the 5 stars, and leave a review on iTunes, and let me know how the podcast has impacted you. I love being part of your real-time journey, so screenshot the episode and tag me and my guests on Instagram at ManifestWithAsh. Now say it with me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my own energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. We don't just talk about it over here. We be about it. Now go get 'em.